Steve Harvey has seen thousands of contestants over his years hosting Family Feud. But when one man completely broke down on stage, Steve made a decision that left everyone in tears and proved why he's more than just a game show host. It was Tuesday, March 14th, 2023, at the Family Feud studio in Atlanta. The atmosphere was electric, as it always was on taping days. The Henderson family was facing off against the Martinez family in what appeared to be just another exciting episode filled with laughs, competitive energy, and Steve's famous reactions to wild answers. The Henderson family was doing well. They had won the previous round, and the energy was high. Marcus Henderson, a 42-year-old man from Detroit, Michigan, stood at the podium. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and had the kind of presence that commanded attention. His family cheered loudly behind him, their enthusiasm filling the studio. Steve Harvey looked at his card and grinned. This question always brought entertaining answers. "All right, Marcus," Steve said with his signature energy. "We surveyed 100 people. Top 7 answers are on the board. Here's your question. Name something you'd find in every father's wallet." The audience chuckled, already anticipating the typical answers. Pictures of kids, credit cards, receipts, a driver's license. Steve was ready with his playful commentary, probably preparing to joke about expired condoms or old business cards. Marcus stared at the question. His smile, which had been bright and confident just seconds before, began to fade. His family was shouting suggestions from behind him. "Pictures! Say pictures!" But Marcus wasn't hearing them. Steve noticed the change immediately. "You all right there, Marcus?" he asked, his tone shifting from playful to concerned. Marcus opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. His chest began to heave, his eyes filled with tears. And then in front of 200 people and multiple cameras, this strong, confident man completely broke down. "I'm sorry," Marcus managed to say through tears. "I'm sorry, I can't." The studio fell silent. This wasn't a nervous breakdown or stage fright. This was something deeper, something raw. Steve Harvey, without hesitation, handed his cue cards to a producer and walked directly to Marcus. Hey, Steve said gently, placing his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Talk to me. What's going on?" Marcus tried to compose himself, but the tears kept coming. "My father," he finally said, his voice breaking. "My father passed away 3 weeks ago." The audience collectively gasped, but it was a respectful, empathetic sound. Steve nodded, understanding beginning to show on his face. I'm sorry for your loss," Steve said quietly. "Take your time." But Marcus couldn't stop. The floodgates had opened. "We weren't close," he continued, his words tumbling out between sobs. "We hadn't spoken in almost 8 years, not since I told him I was getting divorced. He said I was a quitter, said I was abandoning my family. We never fixed it, and now he's gone." What the audience didn't know was that Marcus Henderson had been carrying a weight that had been crushing him for years. His father, Robert Henderson, had been a stern man, a veteran, a man who believed in duty, honor, and pushing through pain without complaint. When Marcus's marriage fell apart, his father saw it as a failure, a weakness. "A Henderson doesn't quit," his father had told him during their last conversation. "You made a commitment. You honor it." Marcus had tried to explain that the marriage was toxic, that staying would have destroyed him, that sometimes leaving is the braver choice. But his father wouldn't hear it. That conversation ended with his father walking away, and they never spoke again. For 8 years, Marcus lived with that silence. He built a new life, found love again, became a better father to his own 2 children from his first marriage. But the unresolved pain with his father never went away. It sat in his chest like a stone, heavy and constant. When his sister called 3 weeks ago to tell him their father had died of a sudden heart attack, Marcus felt like he'd been punched. Not just because his father was gone, but because there would never be a chance to fix what was broken. No chance to hear, "I understand," or "I'm proud of you," or even just, "I love you, son." The funeral had been 5 days ago. Marcus had stood at the casket, staring at his father's face, feeling nothing but emptiness and regret. After the service, his sister had given him a box. "Dad wanted you to have this," she'd said. Inside the box was his father's wallet, the same worn leather wallet Robert Henderson had carried for 30 years. And inside that wallet, Marcus found something that shattered him. Pictures. Dozens of pictures of Marcus and his children. Photos his father must have printed from Facebook, from Christmas cards, from anywhere he could find them. Pictures of Marcus graduating with his master's degree. Marcus coaching his son's little league team. Marcus and his new wife on their wedding day. His father had been watching, had been proud, had been keeping Marcus close even when they were apart. But he'd never said anything, and now it was too late. Standing on the Family Feud stage, that question about a father's wallet had broken through every defense Marcus had built, because he knew exactly what was in his father's wallet, and it destroyed him. Steve Harvey stood with Marcus, not rushing him, not trying to move the show along. He simply stayed present, his hand still on Marcus's shoulder, giving him space to feel what he needed to feel. "My sister gave me his wallet after the funeral," Marcus said, pulling it together enough to speak. "It was full of pictures of me and my kids. All these years I thought he hated me for my divorce, but he was carrying us with him every single day." Steve Harvey felt his own throat tighten. In that moment, he made a decision that went against every television timing and pacing rule. "Ladies and gentlemen," Steve announced to the studio, "we're going to stop the game right here, because what's happening right now is more important than any game show." The production team looked nervous, but no one moved to stop him. Steve Harvey's show, Steve Harvey's rules. Steve turned back to Marcus. "Let me tell you something," he said, his voice carrying the wisdom of someone who had lived through his own share of pain. "Your father loved you. He always loved you. Sometimes men from that generation, they don't know how to say it. They don't know how to admit when they're wrong. But that wallet was him saying everything he couldn't say out loud." Marcus nodded, tears still streaming down his face. "And I want you to hear this," Steve continued, looking directly into Marcus's eyes. "You didn't fail him. You didn't fail as a son. You made the choice you needed to make for your own survival and real love, the kind your father had for you, that love doesn't stop just because there's silence." Steve paused, then asked a question that surprised everyone. "Do you have that wallet with you?" Marcus looked confused. "What?" "Your father's wallet. Do you have it with you?" "Here." Marcus nodded slowly. "Yeah, I've been carrying it with me everywhere. It's in my jacket. Backstage." Steve looked at a producer. "Can we get Marcus's jacket?" Within moments, a production assistant brought out Marcus's jacket. Marcus reached into the inside pocket and pulled out a worn leather wallet. Brown, cracked with age, held together by years of use and love. Steve Harvey did something that no one expected. "Open it," he said gently. "Show us what your father carried." Marcus's hands trembled as he opened the wallet, and one by one he began pulling out the pictures. His son's school photo, his daughter at her ballet recital, Marcus himself in his graduation cap and gown, him and his new wife smiling on a beach. Steve took each photo as Marcus pulled it out, holding them up so the cameras could see. "Look at this," Steve said to the audience. This man thought his father had rejected him, but his father was carrying his whole world in his pocket every single day. The studio audience was openly crying now. Even some of the crew members were wiping their eyes. Steve looked at the cameras, and what he said next became one of the most powerful moments in game show history. "How many of y'all got unresolved stuff with your parents?" he asked. "How many of you are waiting to say something to your mama or your daddy, thinking you got time?" Hands went up all over the studio, more than half the audience. "Let me tell you something," Steve said, his voice firm but full of compassion. "You don't always have time. Marcus thought he had time, 8 years of time, and then time ran out. But here's what I want y'all to understand. If you got a parent you need to talk to, a sibling you need to forgive, a friend you need to reach out to, do it today. Don't wait. Don't assume they know how you feel. Tell them." Steve turned back to Marcus. "Your father loved you, man, and wherever he is right now, he knows you loved him too. That silence between y'all? It's over now. You're holding his heart in your hands right now. That wallet is proof." Marcus held the wallet to his chest, his whole body shaking with emotion. Then Steve Harvey did something that surprised even himself. "Marcus, I want you to answer that question now. Tell me what you found in your father's wallet." Marcus looked up, confused. "But it's not a Family Feud answer. It's too personal." "Answer it anyway," Steve said. "Not for points, not for the game. Answer it for you. Answer it for your father." Marcus took a deep breath. He looked at the wallet in his hands, at the pictures spread out on the podium, at Steve's encouraging face. And then he spoke, his voice stronger than it had been all day. "Love," Marcus said simply. "I found love in my father's wallet." The studio erupted, not with game show applause, but with standing ovation. People were crying, cheering, holding each other. Both families came together on stage, surrounding Marcus with support and understanding. Steve looked at the board, even though he knew the answer wouldn't be there. "Show me love," he said to the board operator. And in a moment that the production team later called pure television magic, the board operator added an eighth answer to the survey. At the very top of the board, in bold letters, appeared, "Love." "That's number one in my book," Steve said, pointing at the board. "That's number one in everybody's book." Steve made another executive decision. "Both families win today," he announced, "because both families just witnessed something that's worth more than any prize money. They witnessed reconciliation. They witnessed healing. They witnessed what it means to honor the people we love, even when they're gone." The Martinez family, instead of being disappointed about not finishing the game, came over and embraced Marcus. "My father and I aren't speaking right now," Mr. Martinez said quietly to Marcus. "Thank you for reminding me not to waste time." After the cameras stopped rolling, Steve Harvey did something he'd never done before. He asked Marcus to stay, and he brought out a chair. For 20 minutes, while the crew reset for the next show, Steve sat with Marcus and talked. About fathers and sons, about regret and forgiveness, about carrying the people we love with us even when they're gone. "I want to tell you something," Steve said. "I'm going to connect you with a therapist I know who specializes in grief and family reconciliation. This isn't something you should carry alone. Your father may be gone, but your healing, that's just beginning." Steve also did something more practical. "How much was the prize money you would have won?" "Today?" he asked a producer. $20,000, the producer answered. "Cut him a check anyway," Steve said. "Marcus earned it." When the episode aired 6 weeks later, the response was unlike anything Family Feud had ever experienced. The clip went viral immediately, garnering over 75 million views in the first week alone. But more importantly, it started a movement. The hashtag #What'sInYourWallet began trending worldwide. But it wasn't about credit cards. It was about what people carry with them emotionally. Thousands of people began sharing their own stories of unresolved relationships, of things left unsaid, of love that existed despite silence. More powerfully, the episode inspired thousands of reconciliations. People reached out to estranged parents, siblings, friends. Family Feud's social media was flooded with messages. "I called my dad after 12 years because of Marcus's story. We talked for 3 hours and cried together. I watched this with my son, who I haven't been speaking to. We hugged for the first time in 5 years. Marcus's story saved my relationship with my father. I didn't wait. I said everything I needed to say." 3 months after the episode aired, Marcus Henderson appeared on Steve Harvey's talk show with an update. He had been in therapy and was working through his grief in healthy ways. More importantly, he had started a nonprofit organization called Don't Wait to Say It, dedicated to helping families in conflict find reconciliation before it's too late. "My father taught me something even in death," Marcus told Steve during the interview. "He taught me that love doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's hidden in a wallet, but it's always there if we're willing to look for it." Steve Harvey used Marcus's story as the inspiration for a special Family Feud episode called Unfinished Business, where contestants who had unresolved family situations were given the opportunity to confront them live on air, with professional mediators and therapists present. The episode became an annual tradition, helping hundreds of families bridge gaps that had lasted years or even decades. Marcus's father's wallet ended up in a display at the Smithsonian as part of an exhibit on American families and reconciliation. Next to it is a plaque that reads, "Sometimes the most important conversations are the ones we have after someone is gone. Love persists, even in silence." Today, Marcus Henderson is thriving. He speaks at conferences about grief, masculinity, and the importance of emotional vulnerability. His children, now teenagers, often join him, talking about how their grandfather's wallet taught them that love can be complicated, but it's always worth fighting for. The video of Marcus's breakdown and Steve's response has been viewed over 150 million times across all platforms. It's shown in therapy offices, in grief counseling groups, in men's support circles. It's become a touchstone for conversations about father-son relationships, about masculine emotional expression, about the weight of unresolved pain. But the real impact isn't in the numbers. It's in the countless messages that continue to flood in. Messages from people who reconciled with their parents before it was too late. Messages from people who found the courage to grieve openly. Messages from fathers who decided to tell their sons, "I love you," instead of assuming they knew. Steve Harvey thought he was just asking a simple question about wallets. Instead, he created a moment that reminded millions of people that love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's carried in a pocket. Sometimes it's expressed in ways we don't recognize until it's almost too late. Marcus Henderson came to Family Feud to win some money and have fun with his family. Instead, he found healing. He found closure. He found proof that his father's love had never left him, even in 8 years of silence. And Steve Harvey proved once again that the most important thing a person with a platform can do is recognize when someone needs more than entertainment. They need compassion. They need understanding. They need someone to stop the show and say, "Your pain matters. Your story matters. You matter." If Marcus's story of loss, discovery, and healing moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Share this video with someone who might need to hear that it's never too late to honor the people we love, and it's never wrong to grieve what we've lost. Have you ever discovered something about a loved one after they were gone that changed everything? Share your story in the comments below. And remember to hit that notification bell for more incredible true stories about the power of vulnerability, forgiveness, and the complicated, beautiful nature of family love. Don't wait to say it. Life is too short for unsaid words and unexpressed love.